Should we flip to Gabe's team, the Clippers? I know he wants to talk about his boys.
Just
We can
gotta
stay in
want
LA,
to.
man.
Just gotta want to.
Because I'm kind of split on their deadline. I don't know how to feel. So I want to hear what Gabe has to say. Maybe he can help me see the light. Like, did the Clippers have a great deadline or not?
All right, man. So the Clippers, I like it because while I think that the pieces they moved off of weren't necessarily bad pieces, I do think the pieces that they brought in probably have a little bit more upside. I think everybody was really hoping the best for John Wall, and I don't really think it worked out the way everybody wanted it to. He has some flashes and some good moments, but overall, I think the general consensus was that, he wasn't really doing that great. Bringing in Bones Highland as a point guard, on the other hand, was a point guard that everybody said, why is Denver even trying to trade him? How did this fall apart like this? Because he was really looking to be one of those premier backup point guards in the league, was doing really well. After the Monte Morris deal, they kind of changed their roster a little bit. And then now all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's on the trade market. So they got him without really having to give up that much. And then Eric Gordon, he's been stuck in Houston forever. We even said, oh, we don't know if he's going to be traded. I think he adds to their team. He's been there before. That was a long time ago, but he gets to return to the place he's been before. So it just kept that narrative of people going to old places. And he gets to come in and really play for something for the first time in forever. And I think that makes their team better, but it also is just good for him. Luke Kennard's shooting was great, but having Eric Gordon as a shooting guard spot instead, I think is a little bit more dynamic of a player. And plus, I'm not saying that Eric Gordon is Drew Holiday, but I think anything is better on the defensive end than Luke Kennard. So a little bit better there. And then, they got rid of all guards here. And the other piece they brought in, Mason Plumlee. Now, do I want Mason Plumlee going for triple doubles in Charlotte? Absolutely not. No, I don't. Is he some great defensive big? No, he's not. But I think offsetting the stuff that Zubac does, I think he's a good backup option that sort of changes up the play style a little bit and give them sort of a different feel in that part of the rotation. He has skill. He has value. He's a real NBA player that can play rotational minutes. And I think for a team that it was really Zubac, but no other real good big guys, that's a solid piece to bring in. And like I said when I was talking about how much I like their deal earlier, I think the guys they brought in is a little bit more well-rounded. They have, the guard and Bones, sort of a wing and Eric Gordon, and they brought in a big. And kind of just lost all guards. And these guys round out the team, make this depth even better from where it was. And then I think I gotta give this a B+, man. I think I gotta give this a B+.
That's fair.
There's definitely a lot to like about this trade deadline for them. I gotta say, starting off, as someone who's been really critical of not necessarily Mason Plumlee himself, but how he's been used in Charlotte, getting him for only a second-round pick is absolutely outrageous. I don't know how no one else put in a better offer, to be honest. He's been having a career year. He's been passing the ball well. He's been distributing well out of the high post. He's been solid on the offensive end. He's been solid on the defensive end. He's instantly comes in and becomes one of the best backup bigs in the league and is going to give a really good punch to this Clippers second unit. The fact that they only got him for a second, there was rumors that the Hornets were looking for a first. Now, obviously, they weren't likely to get that. And as we discussed earlier, the market this year was really heavy for trading a ton of seconds. But getting him for a first just seems outrageous. And bringing in Bones Highland for only a couple seconds, too, is outrageous as well. We all knew that he was going to get traded and it wasn't going to be for as much as you would typically think because Denver had put themselves in a spot where they basically had to trade him. But getting as good of a backup point guard as he is, who's still so young, for only a couple seconds for a team that was so desperate for a backup point guard, especially with John Wall out of town, Reggie Jackson out of town. Not that they were productive, but I mean, they still needed someone to play there if those guys weren't going to be in town anymore. And Bones Highland comes in and fills that role. Is going to be, or at least should be, a lot more productive than those two have been this season. I'm pretty indifferent on the Eric Gordon move. I mean, you're losing a bit of shooting, a bit of spacing. Eric Gordon struggled from 3 this year. Now, given he'll probably get some better looks in LA, so hopefully that efficiency picks up a bit. But I don't know. Neither or are probably going to be significant parts of the rotation come playoff time in terms of Eric Gordon or Luke Kennard, unless Gordon really starts hitting his threes and looks better defensively and a little bit more engaged, because his urgency, his mentality, his want and desire to win is going to have to shift pretty quick, because he's been on a Houston team for quite a few years now. It has kind of just been coasting around, losing games, not really caring. He's always been a pretty ISO heavy guy, but I mean, he's just been right out there with Jalen Green and KPJ as far as how bad some possessions have been, where he's just dribbling the ball 8, 10, 12 times before he moves the ball or takes a shot. So there's probably going to have to be some habits that need to be broken that he's just developed over the last couple of years that might cause a little bit of a hindrance, but I'm pretty indifferent on that one. The fact that by moving off of Kennard in that move and alongside the moves they made to bring Mason Plumlee and Bones Highland in, they didn't even lose any seconds. They didn't lose any pick equity other than a pick swap, which I believe that pick swap was to the Rockets. So, I mean, they're not going to have that swapped. They're not losing anything in terms of pick equity. They basically just traded away John Wall, Reggie Jackson, and Luke Kennard for Eric Gordon, Bones Highland, and Mason Plumlee. That's an A-grade trade deadline for me. Great backup point guard, great backup center. I was shocked at how little they had to give up to get those guys. So kudos to them and their front office. They did a great job this deadline. Whether they're still going to be amongst the best teams in the West, that remains to be seen, but they addressed some depth issues. They got the right pieces for their bench. Well done by them.
I'm going to give it a B. I think it was good, not great. Obviously getting Bones and Mason Plumlee for that value, I think that's why I really do like this deadline for them. Like, I do like it because obviously Bones for 2 second-round picks, very good value. And then, like you said, Mason Plumlee's having one of the best seasons of his career. And as a starter, he was one of maybe the worst starting centers in basketball. But as a backup, he's instantly one of the best, in my opinion. Like, I think he's one of the best backup bigs that a team could ask for, right? And he does a lot of different things. Some of the same things as Zubac, but some different with his playmaking. You know, his lob threat ability, I think, is really good too. So good trades there. My only thing is, I do like moving off of Kennard because he wasn't going to be playing in the playoffs anyways, and he was making like $16 million a year. So good to get that contract off of your books, right? The Eric Gordon move, it just seems very redundant. Like, him and Norman Powell, I think, very similar guys, and Norman Powell's a lot better, you know, as far as what they can do at this stage in their careers. And Gordon, like you said, will have to shift not only from that losing mentality to, okay, I'm just out here getting up as much shots as I can, as many touches as I get. He kind of has to shift back to how he was playing like 5 years ago, where he was just taking spot-up shots because, you know, if the ISOs are going to be Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and maybe some Norman Powell, I don't want Eric Gordon ISOs if he's going to be playing playoff minutes. So he really has to shift his game. If he can do that, then that's going to boost this deadline for them a lot more. But I'm going to go B right now. I do wish that they could have got more of a floor general type of point guard. Obviously, that's the move that they really wanted to make, but maybe he wasn't out there, so I'm kind of fine with that. All in all, they did get better as a basketball team, though. It's just about staying healthy for them and, you know, everybody being on the court once the playoffs come around.
Man, to be fair, like, I think Eric Gordon can get back into that mentality just because, like, the last couple of years, like, this team in Houston was just so poorly ran that it's like, what is he even going to do? Like, what's even the point? So the fact that now he's kind of back in a situation where they're expected to compete, like, Eric Gordon, he was on those Rockets teams with James Harden, a ball-dominant guard, competing at the highest level against the Warriors in the conference finals every year. Like, I think he's been there. And I think he's built for that, and I think he can get back there. I really think it is just more mental, and like there was no reason to even want to try. Like he was just stuck in a situation he didn't want to be in. So now that he's out of that, like I think it's a lot different from like, oh, they picked up John Wall, and John Wall hasn't played anything significant in years. But like John Wall went through a bunch of injuries and stuff and was like clearly not the same guy. I think Eric Gordon in a smaller role, like he can still have some good production. He just hasn't had a reason to really want to play in forever.
I would hope so. Maybe that Houston culture is just that toxic to where guys like Eric Gordon are visibly frustrated and not wanting to talk to the media and just out there playing like he's Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., which you kind of understand the young guys to be playing basketball the way that they do, but not somebody that's been in the league since 2008 like Eric Gordon. He's been in the league 15 years, but hopefully he can break out of those habits. Maybe it was just him like, I'm not happy, so if I'm going to be playing basketball, I'm going to just get up as many shots as possible and not play defense. Maybe that's what it is. Hopefully it is, because if so, he can be a very good piece for this team, because if he's engaged defensively, he can be on the court in the playoffs, unlike a Luke Kennard.
Hey, after what they said, like after what John Wall said about them, like I will give any player the benefit of the doubt in a Houston situation. And just to add just a little bit more to like me enjoying the Clippers deadline, we get to see John Wall go back to Houston. Now, will he put a jersey on for them? I highly doubt that. And by this point, by the time this video comes out, he might already not be on the roster anymore. But like, just from a narratives perspective, the fact that he said that on a podcast like a month ago and now he's back in that city, hilarious.